Hello, this is Gio. Hey, look what I have. I have a box from TESmart. Let's see what's inside. And so opening up the box, let's see, we have the user manual right on top, and right here it says this is a dual monitor KVM. And so taking a look at this KVM here, let's take this out of the wrapper. And man, this looks pretty fancy. You know, what this little KVM will do is basically you can connect this to two independent computers, two monitors, a single keyboard, and a single mouse. And what this will do is you could have both computers running. You can switch from one computer using both monitors to the other computer using both monitors, or you can switch it so both computers, well, one computer is on one monitor, the other computer is on the other monitor, and then you can kind of switch between the keyboard and mouse flawlessly. And this makes life simple when you have two computers. And so digging a little bit deeper in this box, let's see what we got here. So remove this little piece there. We got two other boxes here. We'll open up the smaller one first. And let's see what we have here. We have the, looks like the power supply for the KVM unit and an actual remote. You can actually control this unit using a remote control. Okay, and then the bigger box here. Let's see what's in this. And it looks like it's a bunch of cords. So what do we have here? We have, looks like a USB and HDMI connection here. On the other side, it looks like just a different USB and HDMI. With that one, looks like you have a couple of these. And then what are these? These are, looks like DisplayPort cables. So it looks like DisplayPort, and this one's the same. So you get two DisplayPort cables. So to connect this to your computer, you will actually need three connections. You'll need two video connections, one for each monitor, since this is a dual monitor system, and then a USB connection to run your keyboard and your mouse. Okay, so turning the unit around, you can see where all the connections are made to the back of the unit. Starting from left to right, you have your 12-volt DC power supply. You have an analog audio output. This is for headphones or speakers. Now you have two HDMI connections, display 2 and display 1, that go to your monitor. Now these are HDMI connections in the unit. Now your monitor might either have an HDMI connection, a DVI connection, or a VGA connection. Now, if it has HDMI or DVI connections, it's great. TESmart does not recommend connecting these directly to the VGA connections. You can do that, but the quality, the video quality is not as good. Now, one thing that this unit did not come with are the connections from the unit to your monitors, because they don't know what kind of cables you need. So if you have HDMI to HDMI, that's fine. You need that cable, or you need HDMI to DVI, or in the case of VGA, you need HDMI to VGA connections. So you'll need to make that choice yourself. So next you have your two USB connections for your mouse and keyboard. And it doesn't really matter which one you plug in, either one will work. So next you also have a spare USB 2.0 connection here for peripheral devices. If you need more connections and more USB connections, you'll have to get a USB splitter you can plug into this, and then you'll have more connections. And then you have for your PC number 1 and 2, here's 2 and here's 1, here are your three connections that you'll be connecting to your PC. It could either be a desktop or a laptop. And in this case, I have an HDMI and DisplayPort, DP port connections here. Those are the two video connections I'll be making. They also have an almost identical version of this KVM, which has two HDMI connections. Now I chose the HDMI and the DisplayPort connections because that's compatible with the video card I have in my main computer. Now each one of your computers will also be connected to a USB port, which will this will control the mouse and keyboard. Now this is a USB B connection, and if you look at the cables that they send you, you have the two HDMI connections there, but the cable is the USB B connection here, and it goes to a USB A connection here. Now that's basically assuming that your computer, either desktop or laptop, has plenty of USB A connections, but for the unit here, you're using the USB B connection here. Okay, like I previously said, you'll need to connect two video connections from your computer, or each computer, to your KVM box. In this case, the connection ports here is the HDMI and DisplayPort. Now you can get adapter cables to go from HDMI to, let's say, a DisplayPort on your computer, or a DVI port on your computer, but they do provide, again, two DisplayPort connections, DisplayPort to DisplayPort in this case. I assume if I got the HDMI version, they would have provided me spare HDMI to HDMI connections. Now, this is fine for my desktop. Again, my video card has both the HDMI and the DisplayPort connections, which I'll show you in a bit. But for my laptop only has one HDMI connection, and instead of a DisplayPort, it has a bunch of the USB-A ports and one USB-C port. Now you can use that C port to connect into your DisplayPort or an HDMI connection here. And so I had to get an adapter cable, and in my case, I chose the DisplayPort connection to my USB-C connection. And so you'll see that when I connect up my laptop, you'll see I'll be using this connection rather than the DisplayPort connection cable that they use. So I had to actually purchase this separately. Okay, so turning the unit to the front, you basically, you have the two-way dual monitor KVM label right there. You have your power on and off switch right here, and then you have like a little switch button here, but you have 4 LED lights here. Now the first two lights are basically indicator lights telling you that your USB connections to your keyboard and mouse are active or not. So these two should be on. If there's a cable that's not connected, then one of these will probably be off. So the next two LEDs are basically your selection for your computer selection for running your monitors. Now there are two modes for this unit. There's a mode 1 and a mode 2. The mode 1, basically when you're in mode 1, only one computer will be displayed on both monitors. So you could either have a dual monitor or shared monitor situation, but only one computer will be running on 2 monitors. Now so again, that's for mode 1. So if the first light is on, that means that let's say your PC1 is active in mode 1. If the LED 2 light is on, that means your PC2 is active in mode 1. Now if you switch to mode mode 1 to mode 2, both of these lights will be on, indicating that you have one computer on one monitor and the other computer on the other monitor. That would be mode 2. So if both lights are on and active, you're in mode 2. If you only see one light on, then you're in mode 1, and the light indicates which computer is currently active. Okay, so let's move to my computers and plug this thing in and see how it works. Okay, so here is the setup that I'm going to hook up to the KVM. We of course have the desktop here. We have the laptop with one mouse, one keyboard, and then we have two monitors here. We have HDMI cables here on this end, and they're connected with DVI ports on the monitors themselves. Okay, so it's time to hook up the KVM. So what we're going to do first, turn this around. So we're going to be hooking up the desktop to the PC1. So again, we'll need two video ports and the USB port. So we have the data port connection, the display port connection here, and then we have the HDMI and the USB connection here. So looking on the back of my desktop, I have a number of USB ports here that I'll use. This is my video card. I have an HDMI connection and a display port connection, and that's what I'll be using. First, I'll go ahead and plug in the USB-A connection here. And then the HDMI right there. And then I'll do the display port again in my video card right here. Now the back of your computer might look different. You might have different connections, and therefore, again, you need to double check if you need specific adapter cables. Now, TESmart does have, their website does have a list of compatible adapter cables and devices. So if you need specific cables, go ahead and check out their website. Okay, so again, my desktop's going to be PC1, and so we'll go ahead and connect the USB right there, the HDMI cable right there, and then display port. Just like that. Okay, so looking at the laptop, again, like I described, we do have one HDMI connection here. I have two USB-C connections. One is for power. This is what I needed the adapter cable for. I have the display port right there, and here is the USB-C, and so that is where I'll connect that right there. And then the other two connections, this cable came with the device, and so one will go into the HDMI port right here, and then the other one will go into one of the USB-A slots I have here. And then back to the KVM, I will put the USB, this was connected to the USB-A at the computer, and so I will connect this to the USB-B port. For PC2, I will put the HDMI cable, PC2, and then the display port cable, like that. And so I don't have a secondary USB that I want to connect here, but I do have my mouse and my keyboard USB connections, and so I will plug those here. And now it's time for the monitors. These are plugged in my monitor. This is actually the monitor on my left. This is the monitor on my right, if I see that correctly. So I want the left monitor actually to be, in my case, display number 1. So stick that in here. And then the right monitor, display 2. You can have it either way. And so lastly, I want to go ahead and put in the DC 12 volt power supply. Okay, so I powered everything up, and you can see that the KVM is operational. It's showing 2 lights here. So that is the mouse and the keyboard. And these actually didn't turn on until I turned on one of the computers. So just having the power switch on for this, these will be dark until you turn on a computer. So these things are lit up. You can see that I'm on computer 1, and so that would be the desktop, and you could see it right there. And everything seems like it works fine. I'm on the 2-screen mode, so you can see I can move from one to the other, and it works very well. And so there's a couple of ways. Well, the first way to switch to the laptop is just to hit this little switch. And when I hit this switch, you'll go from computer 1 to computer 2. And so we will show you how that works. I'll back up here and I'll just hit this little switch here, and you'll see the light switch from 1 to 2. There's a momentary delay. And there you go. This is the laptop, and you can see the display is a little different. And again, you could move back and forth from one screen to the other. Okay, so instead of switching back to computer 1 using this little switcher, I'm gonna change to the remote here. Now I did put in 2 AAA batteries. The batteries did not come with the unit, so just be aware of that. And what you see is M, P, and then some numbers. I don't believe that 3, 4, and 5 will really work for this unit. Maybe that's for other units, but you're mostly concerned with the M, the P, the 1, and 2. We're currently on PC 2, which would be this. If I hit PC 1, it will switch back to PC 1, just like that. Okay, so we're back on PC 1. Now this again is mode 1, so you're either in one computer or the other. If you go to mode 2 by pressing the P button here, it will switch. One monitor will be in one computer, the other will be in the other. So let's go ahead and hit that. And when I do that, you'll notice these 2 LED lights will both turn on. So we'll hit P. Takes a second. They're starting to think. Okay, so that would be PC 1 and that's PC 2. And you can see that currently the mouse, you can see the mouse right there, is currently in PC 1, and I can't operate PC 2, although the display is up there. Now to switch, let's say I'm working in PC 1 and I want to switch to working on PC 2. To do that, you would hit the P button again. It won't automatically, your mouse won't move to here, but the screens will swap. So we'll go ahead and hit P again. Give it a second. And there you go. Now PC 2 is on the left screen, PC 1 is on the right, and the mouse and the keyboard will work with PC 2. And so that's how the switching occurs. It takes a second. You can't just do it really quick, but if you're working, you can kind of look at one, maybe waiting for emails or what have you, and even watching a video on one. And then, but you can only operate with the mouse and keyboard one at a time. And you could designate which one you want based on how you plugged in your system. But when you switch to one or the other, it'll always be in one display. So we'll go ahead and switch P back, just like that. Okay, so PC 1, PC 2, to go back to one or the other, you just hit M again. So the mode 1, it'll switch back to one PC or the other. I'm not sure which one we ended at. It looks like it'll be PC 1 that's popping up. So that's fine. That monitor works. And there again, the mouse will pass through. And to go to PC 2, you just hit the 2 button there. And then you'll see the PC 2 come up in a second. So there is some delays. It may depend on the type of system you have, but there is a momentary delay. But it seems to work really well. Now, there are some key commands you can also use. So let me find this in the book here. Okay, so there's a number of hotkey commands. So if you lost the remote, basically you can do everything you want in mode 1 with the switch, just switching here. But to switch to mode 2, you either need the remote or with your keyboard, you can do all the functionalities through a combination of keys. I won't go through that here, but just be aware that you can do everything you want on the keyboard as well. And there you go. That is the TESmart Dual Monitor KVM. If you're interested in this unit, I will include a link to the TESmart website where you can order this particular unit or different units. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button at the bottom of the screen and even consider subscribing to my channel. I have many more videos to come. Bye-bye.